I'm the eldest of two girls, and my name is Safia. I've always been the solemn and distinctive one, ever since I can remember. My sister Lily was the complete opposite. With Lily laughing, Mom and Dad gushing about how much they loved her, and the newest pop music playing nonstop, our home was always noisy when I was a kid. Me? I enjoyed spending peaceful time with my homework or nose in a book. I could clearly see the difference between Lily and me. On birthdays and holidays, I carefully stashed aside the money I received while she tore through her presents, squealing with delight over the newest clothing or toys. "What are you saving for this time, Safia?" With a tone of pride in his voice that never quite reached his eyes, Dad would inquire. "A laptop for studying is what I would suggest. The library computers are always full." He'd nod, but I could tell something wasn't right. They never got why I didn't want the same things as other girls my age. Lily, on the other hand, had a lot of different styles and needs all the time. "Did you see the new iPhone, Mom? There are a lot of them at school. I need it," she would say, and she'd have it right away. There were no questions. There was no need to save. I remember when I bought my laptop for the first time. I put money aside for months while I looked into the best option for my needs. I was so proud of it when I got home with it. "Look, I finally got it," I told everyone at dinner. Mom looked up from her food. "That's nice, sweetheart." "Lily, tell us about your shopping trip today." The topic changed right away. Lily started to talk in great depth about her most recent shopping trip, and my accomplishment became less important. I knew they loved me in their own way, but it wasn't like they didn't. However, Lily was the star in our family's solar system, and I was a faraway planet, quietly moving around on my own path. Things were different between us, more clearly as we aged. My friend Lily tried out crazy hairstyles and the newest fashion trends, but I stuck to my sensible ponytail and comfy jeans. The library became like a second home to me. It was a quiet place where I could work on my projects without being interrupted. I was just as determined to get into college as I had been in high school. When it was time to apply, I stayed up late many nights to edit my essays, look for grants, and study for tests. It was one of the proudest days of my life when I got my acceptance letter and our full grant. I rushed into the kitchen with the letter in my hand. "Mom, Dad, I got in." Mom looked up as she helped Lily put on her makeup. "That's nice, dear." Lily looked up briefly. "Safia, you're going to be great." Dad took a quick look at his paper. "Well done, Safia." We didn't expect anything less. It hurt that they didn't respond much, but I was used to it. I went back to my room and held the letter close to my chest. This was my chance to show what I could do. At the same time, Lily just barely made it through high school. I thought our parents would finally be upset when she brought home her average report card. Instead, they came together to help her. "Oh, honey, don't worry about it," Mom said, stroking Lily's hair. "Not everyone should go to college. There are many other skills you're good at." Dad agreed with a nod. "Yes, Lily, you'll find your way." I was shocked to hear that. "Are you joking? She just barely passed." Mom gave me a mean look. "Be nice, Safia. Your sister has other skills." I bit my tongue and backed away again. It was clear that Lily would always be the favorite, no matter what I did. Going to college was a nice change. It was the first time I was around people who respected ambition and hard work. I threw myself into my studies because I was determined to make the most of this chance. In the middle of my second year, I got a call from home. It was Lily, and her voice was bursting with joy. Hey, Sophia, guess what? I wonder if I should take some beauty classes. Great plan from Mom and Dad. I wanted to tell her about the cool study project I was working on or the summer internship I had gotten, but I knew she wouldn't be interested. As soon as I hung up the phone, I couldn't help but feel angry and determined. I was going to make my own way count, while Lily went from one beauty school to another. The years went by very quickly. I never really did anything except school. Before the ink was even dry on my license, I got a job at a well-known company with honors. It was both happy and sad the day I moved into my own room. I thought about how different my life was from Lily's. As I unpacked my few things, she was still living with us and getting lots of attention from our parents. But I was out on my own and ready to take on the world. It was crazy the first few months I worked there to prove myself. I worked longer hours than everyone else, and people noticed how dedicated I was. In less than a year, I was made team leader. I called home to tell them the good news. Mom spoke up. That's nice of you, Sophia. But guess what? Lily has met the most wonderful boy. His family is really nice. Everyone is so excited. While she talked about Lily's new boyfriend, my promotion got lost in the conversation. When I hung up, I was down, but I was more motivated than ever. If my family couldn't be proud of what I'd done, I would have to do even better. I threw myself into my work like I was crazy. The days turned into nights, and the weekends were just another chance to get ahead. My hard work paid off. I got promoted again and again. I was the youngest department head in the history of the company. Before I knew it, the boss, Mr. Thompson, called me into his office one day. Hi, Sophia. Your work has been really great. No one has ever moved up so quickly. I was so proud of myself. Thank you, sir. I enjoy what I do. He laughed. It's clear. This is why I want to give you something unique. For our best workers, we offer a program where they can buy an apartment at a big discount. You deserve it more than anything. The next few weeks were full of planning and papers. I felt like I could fly when I finally got the keys. I wanted to share my happiness with the people who meant the most to me, so I chose to have a housewarming party. The party day came around, and the first people to arrive were my coworkers who brought gifts and compliments. Then my family showed up. Mom, Dad, and Lily came in all at once. I saw Lily's eyes moving around the simple furniture as she looked at it with a smirk that was hard to hide. As the night went on, a pattern started to show. When a coworker tried to praise me or talk about what I had done, my parents would quickly change the subject to Lily. Oh, that reminds me, my mom said, cutting off my friend in the middle of the conversation. Did Sophia tell you about Lily's new job as a model? She looks so good in pictures. Yes, replied Dad. Our Lily was made to be a star. Such natural skill. I could see that my coworkers were confused and a little scared. I wish I could sink into the ground. Lily, on the other hand, loved all the attention. Oh, Mom, stop it, she said with a laugh, enjoying every second. Thank goodness my family finally left. Sarah, one of my coworkers, looked at me with wide eyes. As soon as the door shut, she spoke softly and worried. Sophia, what the hell was that? I shrugged to hide how I felt. Oh, that's just how they are. Someone else, Mark, shook his head. No, Sophia, that's not right. Are you okay? Do you need help? There was a lump in my throat. It was both sweet and embarrassing that they were worried. Hey, guys, it's okay. It's normal for me. Do you want another drink? While I was working in the kitchen, I could hear them talking, and I could feel how worried they were. I tried not to cry, because I didn't want them to see how much their behavior had hurt me. I threw myself back into work with renewed energy. After the housewarming mess, with the help of little changes, I slowly turned my flat into a place that felt like home. Every piece of furniture and splash of color on the walls showed how independent and hard I worked. I bought a car on a sunny Saturday because it was something I'd been wanting for a while. A straightforward car that would get me from A to B. Nothing fancy. Being proud of it made me feel good as I drove it home. This is mine. I paid for it with my own money. It's a sign of how successful I am, I thought. I wasn't going to tell my family, but word gets around quickly. That night, the phone rang and Lily's voice came over the speaker. "I heard you bought a car, Sophia," she said. "That's nice." But her tone made it sound like it wasn't. "You're really making things hard for yourself. All this hard work and saving is pointless." The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. "What do you mean?" "So silly," she said. "The most important thing for a woman to do is to get married, right? Find a man who will be there for you and give you everything you need. Why work so hard when you could just have everything done for you?" I couldn't say anything for a moment. Did she mean it? "That's not right, Lily. I mean, I want to earn things for myself. I'm happy with what I've done." The sound she made when she laughed annoyed me. "Oh, Sophia, you're always the tough one. You'll see. Let me show you how to do it." She hung up before I could answer. As I looked at the phone, I felt a mix of anger and shock. How could our views of the world be so different? "So silly," she said. "The most important thing for a woman to do is to get married, right? Find a man who will be there for you and give you everything you need. Why work so hard when you could just have everything done for you?" I couldn't say anything for a moment. Did she mean it? "That's not right, Lily. I mean, I want to earn things for myself. I'm happy with what I've done." The sound she made when she laughed annoyed me. "Oh, Sophia, you're always the tough one. You'll see. Let me show you how to do it." She hung up before I could answer. As I looked at the phone, I felt a mix of anger and shock. How could our views of the world be so different? After a few months, I found out when Lily called. Her voice was full of joy. "I bet you don't know what happened, Sophia. I'm getting married. His name is Robert, Sophia. He's really rich. The wedding is being paid for by his parents. It's going to look beautiful." I felt a strange emptiness in my chest as she talked about clothes, flowers, and guest lists. Her goal had been to reach this point. I understood that this was her idea of success. Too soon the wedding day came. I felt out of place among the fancy guests as I stood in the big hall. Our folks couldn't stop gushing about how beautiful Lily looked in her designer dress. As I sipped my bubbly, I tried to stop the bitter taste that was starting to form in my throat. Had they ever been so proud of me? Had they ever been this pleased with what I had done? As the night went on, I felt like I didn't belong. Lily was in her element as she charmed friends and enjoyed all the attention. Our parents swam around with pride and introduced themselves as the bride's parents. As I drove home in my simple car to my simple apartment, which I had worked so hard for, I couldn't help but wonder if I had made the right decisions. Was Lily right? Had I picked the tougher way? But then I thought about my job, the things I had done well, and how proud I was of myself every time I did something by myself. Not at all. It was my choice, even if it was harder. And that was what made all the difference. Life took on a new rhythm after Lily's wedding. I was busy with work, but my mom's constant calls were getting in the way. The talks were all the same. Mom would start by saying, "Rachel, darling," and her voice would be unbelievably sweet. "You'll never believe what Lily's been up to." I got ready for her to start telling me another story about Lily's great new life. She has been invited to the most exclusive events. Can you believe it? Lily rubbing shoulders with important people. After a particularly hard call one day, I just couldn't hold back any longer. "Mom, that's great for Lily, but don't you want to know what's going on in my life?" There was a pause. "Oh, honey," she said in a condescending way. "Yes, we care. But you should really listen to your sister. Look better, and things will go more smoothly. Why work all day for little money when you can have everything?" After a few weeks, an invitation showed up. Robert's parents gave Lily and him a brand new fancy apartment. So they were having a party to celebrate. I felt small as I stood outside their building the night of the party. Before going inside, I took a deep breath and brushed out my simple dress. The apartment was beautiful. Every surface sparkled, and every piece of furniture looked like it cost more than my salary every year. My parents were already there and were going crazy over every little thing. But Lily saw me, even though I tried to fit in. "Rachel, I'm so glad you could make it," she said, looking over my outfit with wary eyes. "I hope you're writing this down. This is the right way to have a birthday party. Not like it was at your place, where there's plastic furniture and throwaway dishes for every meal." My cheeks hurt. "Lily, that's—" I tried to say, but she was already moving on, and her words hurt me. The weeks after that were full of Lily's excess. She bought everything she saw, and it was always the most expensive thing. Then came one night. As I was leaving work, a sleek sports car pulled up next to me. When the window was rolled down, Lily's smug face appeared. "Do you like it? This is a small gift from Robert. I thought I'd give it a try." I quickly took a look at my trusty but ordinary sedan. "It's very nice," Lily said. She looked at me and laughed. "Oh, Rachel, you always take less. You'll always work for other people while I enjoy life." 2 years went by so quickly, with all the meetings, numbers, and changes. While I worked my way up in the company, Lily seemed happy, going on shopping spree after shopping spree. It was clear that our paths would never cross again, but I was okay with that, or so I thought. Then my world turned upside down. It was a normal Tuesday when Mom called. Her voice was shaky, which wasn't like her at all. "Rachel, it's Lily. She's now at home. Robert left her. He thought she was too shallow and only cared about spending his money. He told her she was stupid. Do you believe it? She has nothing because he made her sign a prenuptial agreement." I had a range of feelings: shock, worry, and, if I'm being honest, a small sense of justice. I squished it down right away because I felt bad about myself. "I'm coming over," I said, grabbing my keys. The house where my parents lived felt like a war zone when I got there. From the garage, I could hear Lily screaming. It was worse inside. Lily was in the living room. Her expensive clothes were torn, and mascara was running down her face. She threw vases, picture frames, chairs, and anything else she could get her hands on. "He can't hurt me like this," she screamed. "Hi, my name is Lily. I look great. I'm great." Mom and Dad moved around her, trying to calm her down. "Sweetie, please," Mom begged. "We'll figure this out. Your dad will buy you a new dress, won't you, dear?" Dad nodded quickly. "Of course, princess. Anything you need." As I watched this scene play out, I had the strangest feeling of being in a different world. This isn't supposed to happen. Life wasn't supposed to go like this. Was it? Lily's temper fits didn't go away as the days went by. She would cry for hours, scream, and then demand expensive gifts to feel better. Our parents always wanted to please their best child, so they did everything she asked. After a particularly bad episode one night, I just couldn't hold it in any longer. Lily might want to think about getting a job, I said hesitantly. It could teach her how much money is worth and give her something else to think about besides all this. The room was very quiet for a while. Then everything went crazy. Lily's angry face changed shape. A job like yours? Being a slave every day? Like a peasant? It made the house shake when she ran upstairs and slammed her door so hard. Mom and Dad rushed up to me before I could figure out what had happened. "You jerk," Mom growled. "Your sister is having a terrible time, and you want her to dumb down to your level?" I didn't mean to upset her. They wouldn't listen when I tried to explain. "Leave," Dan spoke in a cold tone. "Leave this house right now." Mom showed me the door. "And please don't come back until you can help your sister." I was confused, so I took my bag and left. As I walked into my apartment, my safe place, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Sad that my family had turned their backs on me, angry that they couldn't see Lily's flaws, and for some reason, relieved. I could see for the first time how bad things had been in my family for years. Life has a funny way of surprising you when you least expect it. A few days after the fight with my family, I got news that made me silent. One of the prizes I won at work was a 4-month trip around the world. I called my parents when I was feeling weak, or maybe hopeful, that this good news might help us get along better. You won't believe it. Mom and Dad, I won a trip around the world. There was dead quiet on the other end. Then the cold voice of my mother came through. "Rachel, why are you being so selfish? What are you talking about? When your sister is having a terrible time." It felt like someone hit me. "I am not bragging," I said. Mom stepped in. "You should have been nice and given Lily that ticket. She needs to see something new. You can work from home like always." I felt like something snapped inside me. Years of anger that had been building up came bursting out. "No, this trip is mine. I deserved it. I'm not giving up because Lily made bad decisions. I'm leaving." The next few weeks were a blur of getting ready. I got my things in order, packed my bags, and turned off my phone. The day I left, I felt truly free for the first time in years. The cruise was even better than I had hoped. I enjoyed watching the sun go down over the Mediterranean, explored old ruins in Greece, and was amazed by how busy the streets of Hong Kong were. I was just Rachel for 4 wonderful months. I wasn't the responsible big sister or the family disappointment. I was just me. But everything good has to end. When the ship got back to port, reality hit hard. When I turned on my phone, I was ready for a flood of texts. To my surprise, I only missed a few calls from my parents. I went home feeling better than I had in years, but when I got close to my apartment door, I heard noises coming from inside. My heart beat fast. Had someone broken in? When I slowly opened the door, I saw Lily standing there. She was lying on my couch, with shopping bags and empty takeout dishes all around her. "Lily?" I gasped. "Ask yourself why you're here," I said. Even though I showed up out of the blue, she looked up. "Oh, you're finally back," she said, as I stood there with the key still in my hand. I tried to make sense of what I was seeing. "How did you get in?" Lily made a face. "Rachel, don't be so smart. I used the extra keys you gave your parents. It was time for a change. Everything at home made me think of. I just stood there and stared at Lily, trying to figure out what was going on. It was too much. I had to get air, I mumbled. I'm going to the store. I grabbed my car keys. I ran out the door, but when I got to the parking lot, I couldn't find my car. As my anxiety grew, I called my parents. I asked my mom, "Where is my car?" After a pause, Dad's voice came on the line. It was sold. Something seemed off about the world at that moment. "What are you?" Mom interrupted, her tone calm. Lily needed to feel better, as if that were the most normal thing in the world. We took her shopping and to the spa with the money. What I heard made no sense to me. That was my car. You weren't allowed to. Dad's stern voice cut in. We're family. What's yours is ours. Don't be so self-centered. I felt like something inside me broke. Frustration, resentment, and anger that had been building up for years came spilling out. Being selfish. You break into my house and steal my car, and I'm selfish? I need my money back right now. Their answer came quickly, and it was harsh. They said I was cruel, ungrateful, and a letdown. Even though their words hurt, they didn't break me this time. After hanging up, I walked back to my room. Lily was still there, not knowing that I was going through a terrible time. I looked at her and said, in a strong but quiet voice, "Get out." Lily was shocked and looked up. "Leave. Right now." As she always did, she tried to fight and trick me, but I stood my ground. For the first time ever, I put myself first. The next day, I got a lawyer and sued my parents for the car's value. They were very angry and said they would cut me off from their plans, but I stood firm. The case went to court. It was a tough process that exposed years of mental and financial abuse, all for strangers to judge. But truth won out in the end. The judge agreed with me. My parents had to sell their house to pay me back. They moved into a small room while making me look like the bad guy who ruined their lives. I was moved by what they said, but not this time. There was less stress in my life. When I drove my new car home from the shop, being myself, without having to worry about what other people thought of me, was the first time in my life I felt truly free. It was the last time I talked to my family. It wasn't an easy choice, but it had to be made. It was hard the first few months. I had times of uncertainty and loneliness, but slowly, I started to make my life my own. Because I was committed to my profession, I put in a lot of effort and advanced through the ranks fast. My new pals were people who liked me for who I was, not for what I could do for them. I traveled, learned new skills, and discovered enjoyable activities. At last, I discovered how to love myself and appreciate my worth, strength, and resolve. I can't help but smile as I gaze out my office window at the city. Although the path I chose wasn't easy, it was mine. I wouldn't have it any other way. I made this life happen, one decision at a time.